Most Americans don't know about this massive lake that used to exist in California and how this gigantic body of water disappeared, all due to one crucial mistake by the US government. The Central Valley in California wasn't always farmland. It was a freshwater lake called Lake Corcoran that flowed through the Carolinas straight into the Pacific Ocean. Lake Corcoran was by far the largest body of freshwater west of the Great Lakes and was even larger than Lake Michigan, but Lake Corcoran's growing size actually started becoming a major problem. This lake got most of its water through rainfall and snowmelt, coming off the Sierra Nevada mountains as temperature started rising rapidly. 6.0 years ago, unusually high levels of snowmelt was overflowing Lake Corcoran. These Sierra Nevada mountains today get insane levels of snow in the winter, so you can only imagine how much snow and ice was on these mountains. 6.0 years ago, when the Earth was a noticeably colder planet, as the water and snowmelt was rushing down the mountains into the lake, all this excess water eventually needed to go somewhere. The water levels got so high that canals started forming in eastern California, draining water out of Lake Corcoran and into the Pacific Ocean. The lake was originally draining mostly through the Salinas River, which led out to Monterey Bay. Another one of these canals that formed north of the Salinas River was the Carolinas Strait, which led water to a low-lying valley off the Pacific coast. Water ended up settling in this valley and formed the San Francisco Bay. These channels got deeper and deeper, where more water was able to rush out of the lake and into the Pacific Ocean, with more water outflowing into the Pacific, then inflowing from the Sierra Nevada mountains. Lake Corcoran eventually shrunk to just this body of water here, which would be known as Tari Lake. Tari Lake was still the largest body of freshwater west of the Mississippi, and actually existed all the way up until 1930, when the US government made the crucial mistake. California was entering a massive population surge in the mid to late 1800s, where the California Gold Rush was bringing people from all over the country to California. These people all had to be fed somehow, so farmers began emerging in the Central Valley, which used to be Lake Corcoran, and developed farmland in this lush region. Because it doesn't rain much in California in the summer, farmers were having a tough time growing crops in these hot and dry summer months. That's when they looked to Tari Lake for help. Farmers began digging canals from Tari Lake, which led water upstream to irrigate their land. Tari Lake was still getting their typical inflows of water through rainfall and snowmelt. But now these outflows to California, farmland was causing some volatility in the water levels. Eventually, in 1928, California entered an extreme drought, which led to even more pressure onto Tari Lake to provide much-needed water to California farmland. More canals emerged out of Tari Lake running up the Central Valley, but this time there weren't as many inflows this year. Nevada mountains weren't getting as much snow in the winter, and the summers were drier than ever. At this point in time, there weren't many regulations on how much water individual farmers could use, so it was essentially a free-for-all between these farmers, using as much water from Tari Lake as they could get a hold of. As you might expect, Tari Lake drained significantly in size to just 5% of its former water level. But to your surprise, even today in 2023, Tari Lake isn't totally gone. Roads submerged, homes surrounded by water, chicken, dairy and produce. Farms evacuated, a ghost of a lake in central California. Resurrected Tari Lake rose to its highest level since 1935. Just earlier this year, in April of 2023, where water was actually flooding in many of the local communities in the winter of 2022 to 2023, California received record snow and rainfall, which completely changed Tari Lake's look. This lake had been dry ever since 1997. So communities started building houses, roads, farms and businesses on the land where Tari Lake once was, when all this snow melt needed a low-lying region to settle. Tari Lake came roaring back and flooded these newly constructed homes, farms and businesses. The California government did their best to divert water away from where Tari Lake once was, but gravity normally wins, and humans often lose. Humans would definitely lose if temperatures continued to rise. So one day that Antarctica completely melts, to see what would happen if Antarctica completely melts. One day. Check out this video right here.